I am aware that the channel has been erratic and sporadic, and this video is a little bit of a different video to fill you in as to why. It's also a testament that what I share here is the truth. We must find a connection, a living, breathing connection here and now, a sensation felt in our cells, in our awareness, with the Christ, with the living God. We must find that connection, for in the throes of fighting for righteousness in the world, for fighting for Christ's will in the world, and for ending the suffering, needless suffering that the fallen have afflicted upon us, will come a day where you must follow a suggestion from Christ, and therefore you must have a connection open to follow it, to save you, to rescue you from an unfavorable future that the fallen ones have set about for you. When I returned here in November after recovering my health to do so, I discovered that somebody was positioning themselves in a very uncouth and corrupt manner. Here in Tanzania, we had a non-government organization. This is the structure by which we are guardians for the children and can have the children's village, etc. This individual had interwoven himself in that structure for self-gain and not for the betterment of the children. And it was a very dangerous position. I subsequently forced his resignation, and it was a bit of a battle to do so. After I forced his resignation, I had to be with him whilst he signed a resignation letter. As I was standing at the table, the voice of Creator came to me and said, "Please record what is happening." I have never recorded somebody signing a document in my life, as it expresses distrust. It says, "I don't trust you," so it's rude in a sense, in some retrospects. I recorded this, and the man who was signing misunderstood what I was doing. He thought I was waiting for the letter to take a photo, but I was recording, holding my phone all along like this. I didn't do it secretly, I was open about what I was doing. He was blinkered and thought I was about to take a photo. When I returned to live here in January, after the video I already made, somebody was here that the fallen had potentially planted to attempt on my life. My wonderful wife and a dear friend from the Middle East both had dreams that this person would try to kill me. And subsequently, they indeed ended up possessed with a great rage one day and had to be detained by 8 men. The following day after this event, which I covered in another video, this corrupted individual whose resignation I'd forced concocted a deception, and in that deception said that I had forged his resignation letter. He used that deception to suspend the bank account for the children, the bank account that we use in Tanzania to receive the funds to provide food, medical and care and water bills, everything for the children. He suspended the account using this lie, this deception. Subsequently, I was toiling with what was going on, as the demand was to reinstate him. I was awoken by an angelic presence, and it told me to turn to Scripture, and the Scripture said, "You cannot put new wine into an old wineskin." And I returned and moved back here to build the new village, which will be the world's largest of its kind. Therefore, the structure that we had was the old wineskin. And so this person was clearly a part of that. Off the back of what I heard, it brought me comfort. Because the following day, Whilst driving along the main road that connects all of Tanzania, there was a police roadblock, and that police roadblock was there only for myself. This man had sent a deceptive letter now to the immigration department, and subsequently they had to detain me using a police roadblock. When they took me to immigration, I had to be bailed by my colleagues so that I could return home, otherwise I had to stay in a cell. This lasted 3 days, and I was released with an apology and a thank you for the work we are doing in Tanzania, and a promise that I would not be disturbed again, as I'd never broken any rules and never done anything illegal as the letter was claiming. I then, on the Thursday, welcomed my family. They came to join me. The Friday morning, I was arrested for forgery. In that arrest, I of course had the video, and I thank God that I followed this bizarre request from Creator, for in showing the video to the police, everybody relaxed and understood something was off, something was very wrong. But this took a very long time to navigate, for other government departments were also contacted, and I was being vilified through deception, through lies. It took 10 weeks for me to straighten all of this out, including being detained, including having to have forensic investigations done, having to give signature samples, etc. All of this is happening whilst the bank account for the children was suspended. This means, if you grasp what I'm saying, that this man and those that he recruited through deception were threatening the lives of the children. They were saying, we will starve them of food, of medicine, of caregiver salaries. We'll starve them of everything until you reinstate this human being that has been proven and confessed to stealing from the organization in this one instance that I caught him on. But one is enough. One is enough to say no more. If there is sin in it, you are not welcome. No care for the children whatsoever, threatening their very existence. I was unable alone to break this demonic stronghold. And in among all of this, there was immense spiritual warfare. This was not a man versus a man. This was a manifestation of Satan versus the love of Christ. The family of this man came to warn me in person, his brothers and his sisters, that he was engaged in demonic witchcraft, that he was using witch doctors. And in this country, who knows what that can look like? Sacrifice, mutilating children, it's all part of that dark religion. I was weary, I was tired, and I was constantly dealing with demonic attacks. It was an all-out, full-front attack to try and scare myself and my family out of the country and away from this vision that God has given us. But it only strengthened our resolve, for Satan is docile in this retrospect. The fallen ones are stupid in this retrospect. They don't understand the depths of your connection with Creator. They don't understand that you cannot betray your own heart and Creator's heart with the mission the Creator has given you. And it is no longer that you are courageous and brave. This is not involved. The reality is this: in that space where the living God has a connection to your cells, to your very being, you now are in a space where, as I say you, I mean the light of God within you, the loving awareness that is aware of everything as you listen to me now. It's aware of your thoughts, your memories, the world around you, your relationships. And if it is aware of them, that means that none of those temporary identities based in thought that are very useful to organize reality sometimes are who you are. The greater reality exposes in that awareness that you are not the temporary. You are the awareness that is aware of them all. In that that space where we set ourselves free into that expansiveness, we have to acknowledge our own integrated nature with Creator, and at the same time our own distance from Creator, as we are in a fallen world governed by a god of this world we have labelled Satan. In that space, the mind becomes your servant, not your master. Meaning thought becomes your servant, not your master. And when that takes place, that transformation takes place, it is evident that fear is nothing but uncontrolled thought. Fear is uncontrolled thought. If you have dominion over your mind, if your mind is your servant, when the Creator asks you to fulfill a mission, and yes, it may be dangerous and you may die, you are aware that Creator has a plan. And as such, the mind now is no longer analyzing and saying, if I follow what the divine will has asked of me, this is a potential danger, this might happen to me, that might happen to me, that might... All of that, which causes fear, which causes a need for you to be courageous and act anyway in the face of fear, is absent. I'm talking about a freedom of any psychological fear. You are told this is the way, in faith you follow, no question. If the mind is not under your dominion, it will tell you, if you follow that, something bad will happen. If you follow this, this may happen. And there are a million things that may happen. And thereby you become disabled, away from life, for you're in a fallen world. If you want to bow out from that truth of setting humanity free, you can live out of the game and wrap yourself in cotton wool for 80 years because your mind has told you there's too many fears and dangers. But if you awaken into this space of consciousness where the mind is no longer able to analyze everything unless you allow it, then you overcome fear. And it is a space where fear is literally cut off from the human life. So it's not about bravery and courage. It's about the presence of Christ in yourselves, which severs all fear. It does not mean you're not intelligent. It doesn't mean that you say, well, if you're not fearless, go and pick a fight with a bull or a lion. This is intellectual response to danger, is not the fear that I speak of. The event was impossible to overcome alone, spiritually. I needed more, God needed more openings for the light of Christ to dissolve the demonic stronghold, the unfavorable program codes the fallen programmer had surrounded our children and family with. As such, a group of people assembled here at the end of March, and they were a group of people who had not pre-organized with one another that they would come at that time. It just happened by God's grace that they all arrived. And interestingly, as they arrived, the government ministry finally responded after 10 weeks of trying to get to the truth and forensic investigation to say a team were coming to help us to find out the truth. The same day, all parties were arriving, government and those coming from the US, from the UK. It was phenomenal. And all of these bodies provided energy, Christ energy. And that Christ energy saw the inexplicable. That our organization that was registered as a local NGO was resurrected into an international non-government organization here in East Africa. And that took place over Easter weekend. After all of that turmoil and fighting and battling, it took place over Easter weekend. And now we are stronger than we have ever been. The new village will be owned by the international NGO, which is governed by a board of trustees, which is made up by Americans, UK citizens, and also a couple of Tanzanian citizens as well. Prior we were only allowed to have Tanzanian board members, which is how this unfortunate event took place, as we didn't have any control over this individual inside the board. And this is where he fell, and he began to corrupt things from the inside out. This is a snippet of what has been going on. For the first time in 11 years, I've now got men here at my home 24/7 with pump-action shotguns who patrol and protect my family. This is a whole new scenario. I've never seen it in my life here. But what I can say, and what is the most important thing here, is the children are safe. God has won the victory yet again. I am safe. And we have overcome a demonic stronghold and attack that could have seen death brought upon our children. For remember, this man was lying. Satan is the deceiver, the father of lies. There are those in the world, as I keep trying to express, who are using orchestrated, meticulous, pre-planned deception. It is scientific, it is crisp, it is profoundly thought through and worked out. And they are using this in the human story. And they are using this interdimensionally as well. And this man is embracing that space of consciousness to fabricate reality, to try and get an innocent man into trouble so that you can gain financial wealth. This is an expression of the father of lies in human form. But we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but spiritual wickedness in high places. So it was not this man, it was the fallen ones. And the fallen ones dislike what we do here. They dislike that we are going to rescue these children from the frequencies of suffering that they are trapped in a perpetual state until they die or are rescued. They do not like that which I share and speak here, for it is a bit too close for comfort for them, we can say. I'm aware. And there are those who cannot accept that which is shared, but this is only because they are wanting to grab it with thought and say, I don't see it. And the structure that wants to control based in thought must be absent for the expansive awareness that allows you to see it. You are that expansive awareness forced into or brought into human existence. Initially, the source code hoped we would be able to experience eternity from here, for only within the constraints of time is eternity able to be known. But that has been hijacked by the fallen, and they are extracting energy from here, and any push that stops them extracting energy, this is something that they stand against with great vigor. But we won, for Christ is in control. But this is where the channel has been erratic, for my very life was under great strain while I tried to rescue the children from the darkness that the enemy had planned for them. Hopefully, I believe right now, the channel, as my body and my awareness is being able to settle out of that war that I was in, will start to return back to normal. And I can share about what went on, and I've learned much from it. But I do not share well from within those war spaces, in that war mode, for I know that there are too many who listen, who are seduced that they should do things from anger and malice and revenge, and there Christ has no power in your life. It must come from the subtle presence of the love without condition. It must animate your intelligence, not your memories, not your anger, not retaliation to the enemy, but original creation born from humility, which is a space in consciousness whereby you just see all of creation, say, I don't know who I am, I don't know what I am, I don't know what's going on, but I know there is a creator, and I know that you are here and you have great love for us, and so I remain lovingly aware of all creation on the knife edge of the eternal now, awaiting your instruction, When the instruction comes, you follow. Life becomes much more simple, and yet is filled with complexity once you choose to walk in spirit. Not in the image of spirit based in thought, but in spirit. For when you walk in spirit, you walk in righteousness, and when you walk in righteousness, you will be persecuted. But blessed are those who are persecuted for the sake of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. If you are not being persecuted, I would suggest maybe you are living out a spiritual life based in your thoughts and memories, and not so much in the actual reality of what is going on around you. For if you serve the light of Christ, I don't know one human in my life who serves it and isn't targeted with a bullseye on their back by the fallen ones. Okay, I shall leave it there. All is well. Children are safe. My family is safe. This young man playing on his motorcycle near my home is safe. We are well. I welcome your prayers for our continued growth and strength, for we will rescue as many of these children as humanly possible, no matter what Satan puts up against us. It is Christ's request. We are willing to die for that request. I love you all.